Kalimera, welcome to Saving Sweet William. Now, if you saw last week's episode, you know we began the process of dismantling these shutters, ready to put them back together and send over to our villa in Greece. This week, thanks to Facebook Marketplace, we've acquired a bargain router and it's now time to learn how to use it. So, let's get cracking. So this week, I managed to find this router on Facebook Marketplace for the bargain price of £20. Now, we don't have lots of woodworking to do, so I didn't really feel the need to go and spend a lot of money. And on our channel, we really do try to save money, cut costs wherever we can, and that's the idea behind finding this router to cut these louvres. So, this is called a plunge router. It's got various speed settings on the back here. It's got a height adjustment here, so you can plunge it down. And this is what makes the cut. You can adjust the height by simply undoing this, and you can either make it plunge further, make it quite low if you only want to make a shallow cut. So we've got this set of router bits. These are pretty cool machines. You can literally chamfer things with this machine. You can make straight cuts like box sections, but we found the bit that we need that fits perfectly to the size of our louvres. So we've attached it and we're about to start making some cuts. This isn't a professional guide of how to use a router. This is just us showing you how we are going to repurpose these shutters and get the holes that we need in the wood. Let's get started. So after dismantling the old shutters last week, we were left with these rails. What we've done is taken a section of it, cut it out to use as a template, and this is going to give us a perfect guide of where to cut our new holes. Now, we only need to cut out 2 new louvres on each rail, but just for demonstration purposes, I've marked off a whole load of louvres here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use that router to cut these holes almost perfectly. Okay, so I've started by clamping the piece of wood that we want the new holes in into this workbench, and we're just a couple of mil below this surface here, because we want the router to glide nicely along the flat surface whilst making the holes. So I've got the same couple of mil gap all the way along here. And then what we're going to do now is make an angle guide to run our router across so we get perfectly straight lines that match where we need the louvres to be. So luckily we've got lots of spare louvres, so I'm going to use these as a guide for our router. So what I'm going to do first of all is line up this louver parallel with the angle of the louvers that we've marked out. We're going to take another piece of wood and line it up with the flat edge of the workbench. You can now screw them together. Having this angle will mean that we can keep a nice straight edge all the way along, which can guide the router to each of these holes. Right, next job, grab our router, grab our angle guide and start to line up the router with the holes. So we've got a bit here, it's not plugged in, so can safely touch it without it spinning around by accident, and we'll plunge it until it meets where we want the hole to go, which is pretty much there. I'm then going to take my angle guide, keep it dead flush with this edge here, move it along until it meets the router. So it looks like it's in the right place. We'll plunge down here, make sure that corner's in the right place, and then we'll plunge down here, make sure that corner's in the right place. Since it looks like it is, what I'm going to do now is screw this down to the bench so that it doesn't move. That's going to ensure that our guide doesn't move. So I just want to jump in real quick and say this is by no means meant to be a professional guide of how to do this. This is a DIY, make, do, amend type guide. If you've really got a whole bunch of louvers like this to cut, you'd be way better off getting a perfect jig made and doing this slightly differently. Since we only need 2 holes cut in, this is how I'm going to do this, because to be quite honest with you, I don't have the time right now to do it in any more depth than this. So let's jump in and I'll show you my method of getting the holes that I need fairly simply. Let's make the first hole. here we have a pretty perfect looking hole. Let's grab a louver and see if it fits. Okay, here's one of our louvers. Oh, look at that. Perfect fit. Okay, one more. All right, let's see how they're lining up so far. So louvers are not supposed to be glued in place. They're supposed to float. So in these holes are not meant to be mega tight. They're supposed to allow for some movement so that when the wind blows through the shutters, they can move a little bit and not crack where they're so rigid. So I'm pretty happy with that. Once we've got the top rail on, obviously that'll pull them together and give them a bit of a better alignment. So that's the method that we're going to use to make these new louvers in those shutters and repurpose them, resize them to fit our villa over in Greece. Do feel free to get involved. Any tips and tricks that I've missed, it'd be great to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching another one of our videos. Next week, we're going to be looking at making dowel joints to connect the top rail and the bottom rail to these styles. We've never done that before, so that's going to be a whole new learning experience. It'd be great if you could join us for that. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again very soon.